If it is identified as a crime, then of course there is a punishment for it, even if you don't follow that punishment. Out here, it's legally sanctioned. So the government will say, this is not a crime. I take over your property and I am saying that I haven't committed any illegality. Look at the other side of the coin. Shiv, you have a house. Tomorrow I come and say that, look, this is my house. What will you do? You will go to the court. But if I am a Muslim, I will say this is my house because my Waqf board says so. What will you do? You will not be allowed to go to the court. You would have to fight it at the Waqf board tribunal. And after that declaration, Lord have mercy, you can go to the court. Earlier even that was not allowed. But this is happening. It has been given legality by the Indian state. For the last 10 years, it was legal. Before that, obviously it was promulgated, so it was legal. You look at the parity there. I mean, why would there be a primary defense, not in the form of a court, for somebody to go for a dispute? It is unheard of. How is that justice? Justice is meted out by the courts. You don't make a second court. You don't say, look, I don't believe in this. This is my new court that I have made. First you come here, we will fight whatever time and money or effort it takes. After that, if you lose, then you can go to the other court. It's bizarre, but it is legal. And let's curse the politicians till the cows come home, whatever it may be. Why is the Supreme Court quiet? As Vishnu said, where is the suo motu? Why is it quiet? Does it not see illegality? Does it not see malpractice? Does it not see lack of action? It's totally quiet. So let us include the judiciary in this pool.
It sometimes seems like the Supreme Court will take suo motu cognizance if there is a certain critical level of outrage. Where is the outrage here?
I don't think it goes by outrage. It goes by its fear. It would be very crude for me to repeat one of the idioms that I've used. Chand nibu nichodne se doodh bhi itna nahi fatta. But that's the fact. I mean, I gave the example again at the risk of repeating myself because some people might not have heard my conversation with Deep here. The Supreme Court castigated Nupur. The Supreme Court said you burned the country, for quoting scriptures. And the Samajwadi Party MLA, he said burn Ramcharitmanas, and it went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, why are you so touchy, guys? Relax. So it is fear, it's not outrage. I don't think Hindus outraged, of course Muslims outraged, so yes, there could be a little bit of that, but it is the fear. If you don't act, then the outrage might come. So it's just not just reacting to outrage, it is the fear of outrage.
Coming to the final part of this, and then we'll open it up to questions, which is about the control of temples. And I want to try and focus on some actionable points, because you've written about it, Vikram has spoken about it and written about it as well, which is that who needs to make the first move? You say it's a concurrent issue. The center does not need to wait for the states to act. Can the states act first? Can the center act first? And what needs to be done? Can you draw us a specific picture?
Well, in one stroke, it'll take 10 seconds for the cabinet to approve the signature of Prime Minister Modi to abrogate the Endowments Act. Of course, it will go to the Supreme Court. The states will take it to the Supreme Court. But then, you see, the thing is, this act was brought in by the Congress. And Congress brought this act so that it doesn't have to act on the directives of the Supreme Court. There was a 1954 Mutt judgment in 1959 just so that Congress doesn't have to follow the strict strictures of the Supreme Court. It brought in this. So it didn't overturn the Supreme Court Act, it just brought this Endowment Act. So by overturning this act, the BJP government would be siding with the Supreme Court. It's overturning of the overturning. So it's like back to square one. It's like double backflip. It just doesn't want to do it. So that's the first thing that needs to be done. Absolutely. I mean, it's just, many people are saying, again, they have rationalized this, saying, oh, there'll be caste discrimination and who do you give it to? It's none of your job. It's a private enterprise. I'm sorry. Tomorrow you will say that, look, Ambani and Adani are not running their things properly, let me take over Adani. Okay, that's been done. But, let's talk of... Sorry. I just thought people were so serious, let me inject some humor. Take over companies. Communists do that, And the other rationalization is, well, it's not just a company. Look, Astha and faith of millions is dependent on it. Tomorrow if there is discrimination, are there not laws against discrimination? There are. If there is discrimination, you deal with it through Indian laws. But you simply rationalizing something that you don't want to give up. That's the bottom line of it.
Finally, circling now back to the Tirupati temple to keep it as the emotive example in front of us. If not for a state-run trust and a state-appointed trust that runs it, what kind of model or what kind of structure do you see or do you think should come in its place to run the temple?
So it's like, okay, and I'm not denigrating or disrespecting the faith of Hindus, because I've written this in the book as well. And both Sai and Vikram have read the book, so if you blame me, then blame them also, because they've ratified the book. So what I've said is that a temple, again, nothing to do with faith, it should be run like a private company. You float it on the stock exchange. The better the temple, the better it does, more people will invest in it, the richer it will become. Of course, this has got nothing to do with faith. It's to do with the running of a successful enterprise. So, likewise, a company, how does a company decide the board members? It decides through its own acumen, through its sense of fair play, justice, whatever. And those things can come. Yes, you can have retired or functioning members of the judiciary. You can even have a politician, if you want, cutting across party lines or whatever it may be, to decide who the board members are going to be. But, to have the, to clutch the temple and everything it owns, money, hundi, land, in your talons, is it's unacceptable. And that has to change, Shiv. I mean, it can't go on, because what we don't mention out here are the long-term repercussions. What we don't mention are the other things that are discriminated against, by the constitution against Hindus. We're not mentioning the RTE. I'll take a minute to tell you how, in conjunction with 93rd Amendment, it's forcing tens of thousands of only Hindu schools to shut down, because the onus is only on Hindu-run schools to provide 25% reservation for economically weaker section, not on Muslim-run or Christian-run schools. So what happens to the parents whose children have been, can no longer go to Hindu-run schools? They will go to Muslim-run and Christian-run schools. And what happens in those schools, we know, subtly or not so subtly, because it is a religious obligation, they will preach, they will proselytize, they will try to convert. And Hindu temples are being stopped, prevented by the state from opening tens of thousands of schools, hospitals, pathshalas, or whatever you may be, that may keep Hindus from leaving the fold of Hindus. To spend to attract them to their fold. A destitute Hindu family, any one of us, why wouldn't they go to a Christian missionary hospital if your family member is sick? Or why wouldn't they take their children for admission into the schools? This is going to happen. This is the long run. It's already started happening. It's already bearing fruit. 20, 30, 40 years from now, preferentially Indian children would be going to non-Hindu run schools. And then you would say, oh my God, I should have thought of it 30 years ago. So it's got a domino effect. Temple control is not just the state relinquishes the thing. It hands over the money that is rightfully belonging to the Hindu temple. Let it spend that money. And obviously, you're going to have corruption. I mean, come on, you have corrupt companies, you have honest companies. Is that an excuse for the state to take over all companies? No. And that also cannot be a caveat for you to not do what must be done. But again, I say, why is the judiciary absolutely mum on this? Absolutely. It can say something. It's rendered its opinion on everything, down from using bulldozers to this, to that, or whatever. But it's completely silent on this.
I share Anand's cynicism and skepticism about whether this is going to be some kind of tipping point, because from what he has said, from what Vikram has written as well, it's clear that there is the contours of what to do exist. What needs to be done exists, how this system can be replaced with something that is more professional, more accountable, more corporate, like you said.
Well, sorry to interrupt, Shiv.
That formula exists.
You have Ambani's regularly going to Tirupati. You've seen the pictures. You have Reliance Life Sciences, right? It's a huge multi-billion crore enterprise. In the last 3 days, it would have taken them 12 hours to shift 5 HPLCs and 3 GACs. I mean, Shalja is here, other people are there, there are scientists here. Half a day to have, even those porta cabin labs. They've been set up by scientists independently. Have they done it? Has any, billionaire businessman who worships Lord Balaji done it? So, yes, the fault, of course, lies with, for worshippers.
I'm just going to go ahead and guess that not only are these larger things that you just mentioned not going to happen, I don't think the labs are going to happen either. That's my very cynical guess. But we'd like to open it up to questions, because I know lots of people want to ask questions on this topic. They came to me a little earlier, so.
Can I take a show of hands before you ask the question? How many of you have had Tirupati Laddu? Recently.
Namaste, sir. Sir, I have 2 questions. One is a very structural doubt that how state can take over a temple because of malpractice. Is it possible to claim control over temple from the state because of this?
You mean reverse?
Yes.
Who will do that?
For instance, right now we have good advocates who do file for communities like Vishnu Jain.
I mean, I don't know whether it's possible. I don't think it's possible, because when the state takes over something, yes, it's a one-way street. Yeah.
So for my second question, it's we can see that of course there's a belief that the current government is inclined towards Hindu welfare, but
it's a belief, yeah.
Yeah, it's a belief. So, but we can see that it's even though there's an increase in takeover of control of temples, but then we do celebrate that because of this government we got our Ram Mandir back just because, and coincidentally that 4 months before the elections. And so what they are saying is that every 5 years they will give a lollipop for voter bank and all, and and everyone else also believes that it's that they are they are working for Hindus.
I don't know, what was the question?
That I want your remark on this, that they are handing out this lollipop every time they need it.
You're stating it.
No, I'm I would like his remark.
She's asking Anand if he agrees with her.
100%.
Hello. I wanted to ask, the feeling which everyone is getting is quite devastated. But what is the core of the lackness of outrage, or lackness of responding, or lackness of reacting to this situation in the common people? What is it stopping them from talking about it, or sharing the feeling of that devastated feeling? What do you think? What is that is lacking in people?
And this is a very difficult question, but I have the answer for it, and the answer is not very popular answer. I am absolutely fed up of everyone saying the Hindus must rise up collectively, Hindus must take to the streets peacefully, now is the time, bolte rehte ho, kuch karo, ye karo. The Hindus did rise up, and they voted a government that promised it a few things, not once, not twice, but 3 times round. What else do you want? in a democracy to happen? Do you want all of you to forget whatever you're doing and come onto the streets to demand something that the government should have acted on before even you thought of it? Honestly, did you hear anyone in the last 2 days talk of this HPLC or GAC? It's not our job. It's the job of the board. It's the job of, the people who are employed there. It's ridiculous. So I'm absolutely not for this, that Hindus must rise up. Hindus have risen up. This is what the government's always ready excuse. कि सब चीज हम ही कर लेंगे क्या? अरे भाई आप हो पावर में यार, Otherwise you relinquish power. And this is the problem, the way Indians think emotionally as well. I mean, when I say Indians, I meant the Supreme Court. Because one of the most devastating comments were actually made by the Supreme Court. When it said, all we see during the farm laws, when it stayed the farm laws, it said all we see are the 2.5 million farmers who are protesting against the farm laws. Where are the farmers who are for the farm laws? That was devastating. What did the Supreme Court want? That 250 million farmers who are farming in Telangana, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Kerala leave suddenly what they're doing, producing farm goods, products, take a bus, bullock cart, train, go to Tilak Marg and sit outside, do a dharna outside Supreme Court that we are for farm laws. Is that how democracy works? So, it's just bizarre. You should not be doing anything. That's why I said it's unpopular. I'm sorry.
No, but I agree with Anand also, which is also the reason why I asked him not once, twice, but 3 times about the lack of outrage. You see, it's become part of our system now. If we don't see outrage, we think it's not an issue, and we've mistakenly and I think dangerously made us the sort of vehicle of change. We're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be.
Can I add to that, Shiv? If you're outraging, right? If the citizens are outraging, you're not a civilized state. Because the people who you put in power, they should act before the outrage happens. That's what responsibility is. That is how companies function. You have a hierarchy in a company. Every time you think the guy who's temping, he's the one who will tell that all those 100 people up that look, you're wrong here, look, you're wrong here. No. That's not how a proper, responsible, civilized state or a company functions. You should not be doing this.
So basically the system is always reacting and responding to according to their advantages, not people's advantages.
Of course, on Twitter, please outrage as much as you can. But
I have a question. You said that we shouldn't show an outrage, right? But the government which we have elected should be the one who should be acting on it. So how do we get to do that?
Ma'am, how do you get to make sure that the government is acting? I mean, that's democracy itself, and if the government doesn't act, then you throw that government out.
Yeah.
Yes.
The outrage,
You tell me any other solution. If you want your wealth to be redistributed, then have Rahul Gandhi come in.
I felt that outrage may come in 29.
I have just one point. While we are advocating for religious capitalism in one sense, when we say we want to run it as a company, there are many things that come along with it. So while I don't disagree with the points you're making, maybe there has to be some state intervention as well when things go wrong. So we have a SEBI for the share market. There could be something for the religious one as well.
Beautifully said, except that I don't agree that SEBI is controlled by the government. It is not independent.
It is not, but it is.
There should be an independent body.
Yeah, it is a semi-government thing, but end of the day,
There is nothing like semi-government. You need one politician. That's enough.
But we don't have precedents of this kind of thing, where even if you look at Western countries, we don't have where such large number of temples have been given to people who have to maintain, and they come along, form their communities, and then they run it. I mean, very few cases is what we could find. That's what I have read so far.
The mistake I think most people might actually make if they think that even beef tallow in Tirupati Prasadam will result in change is to underestimate the power of the kind of status quo that Anand was talking about. The system, you're talking about, SEBI perhaps is one example, but there are very few examples in this country of, adding an agency, adding a regulatory body and things getting sorted out in a meaningful way.
But the citizenry also has to be, in that sense, aware. I'm not saying you have to react or outrage, but for example, during the Sabrimala judgment, right? You had the Shah Banu judgment and Muslims protested and that judgment was overturned. It was one of the most progressive, amazing judgments. I've read that thing, the harbinger of UCC and whatnot. It wanted to help a poor widow, right? Out in Sabrimala judgment. Now I ask you, when you're worried about discrimination, the state must have regulations. Do you believe it is discrimination when one temple says that the deity requests that women of a certain age not come to that temple? In the same vein, you have dozens, at least 10 temples, and I've counted them, where men are not allowed. So is it discrimination? It's perceived discrimination, it is not discrimination. And yet the Supreme Court said this. It went against the Sabrimala, the wishes of the deity. Everyone was silent. If I'm not mistaken, it's under review right now, but it's already been 3 years. I don't know when that review would come. So where is that awareness? Did anybody from the government come and say what Sai has been saying? This is not discrimination. Have you filed a petition to demand that men be allowed to go to those 10 temples? There is no such thing. Do you have a petition that says Roman Catholic women can be ordained as a priest because right now they can't? Do you have a petition, in fact, Muslim women did, Kerala High Court threw it out, that women are not allowed in some mosques to go to the sanctum sanctorum? This is what is happening, people have to be aware of the discrimination. The state has to come. But more than the state, I think it's the judiciary that has to come, not the state.
Just on another way, the problems of a resident welfare association, the kind of corruption that it comes with. So imagine what will happen with the temples.
Not in my RWA, in Shiv's RWA, the massive corruption. Shiv was the president of his RWA and then he was unceremoniously kicked out.
Okay,
I refuse to redistribute the wealth.
Shiv and Anand, I don't really have a question, but it's a bit ironic. We have two self-proclaimed atheists talking theory in a conference which is on Bharat Shakti, and you want to invoke the state to do representation of your interests? How myopic is this community? The state is not going to do it. And if the state does it, it will be limited. I think it's time we talk about what is the role of the community. After all, Anand, even in theory, you mentioned the reason a certain community or certain communities are listened to and responded to because they are organized and there's a certain way in which you articulate the problem. I'm not saying you should outright go on the street, or we should, no. But I think it's a more important issue. How many of us are really outraged? That's question number one. Because if we have internalized the data which we showed earlier, where you are seeing very large number of people say, I do not belong to any religion. And you are seeing a very big rise in it, and I can guarantee a large part of it are Hindus. Then state is not where that solution is going to lie. I think each society, community, I think these kind of platforms, again, self-professed, Bharat Shakti. Why are we waiting for someone else to give you that Shakti? I think there is introspection that is required, and I think the time is right.
Can I answer that? It's a beautifully put suggestion, Shamika. Absolutely beautiful. Two points in response to that. Number one, I think it is absolutely glorious that two self-proclaimed atheists are talking about this issue, are as outraged as believers are, because that exemplifies the glory of Hinduism. When you have Charvak philosophy that promotes atheism within this fold of life or way of life or religion, what more can be more glorious than that? When you have Lingayats who deny the Vedas as a fold of Hinduism, that is the beauty of Hinduism. It's a way of life, The second point is, Shamika, you very rightly say that the citizens should be aware of it, should act, but I'm saying whenever a state makes a mistake, I think it's the prerogative of the state to correct that mistake. If, for example, the state had not brought the temples under its control and ratified it over 7 decades, then yes, the citizens could have said, yeah, well, what do we do about the temples, let's talk and let's meet and everything. But here it's very clear cut. The state acted in a draconian manner. The state usurped private property. So the state must be asked to relinquish that control, is my limited point, but otherwise fantastic.
Hi both, major fan. I just wanted to...
Of me or Shiv Aroor?
Don't discriminate. So basically I represent the press and I just want to talk about some very real issues. So it's not so much about outraging or talking about issues, but clearly there is a gag order here in TN specifically. And you've seen that happen, where it's like a second emergency where over 100 journalists have been jailed. Only for speaking out critically against the ruling government, and I happen to belong to that fraternity. So while we would love, to speak out against these issues, there is a suppression of our voices, and moreover I see this on X as well, where there's a lot of right-wing accounts that's been getting suspended. They are limiting the reach. It's happening to my own account. Every other day there's a label being put on my account saying we're going to limit the reach of your tweets, etc. So there is a larger conspiracy. There's no doubt about that. Also coming to the issue of hate speech, which is also rising on X, and I don't know if it's just on my timeline or everybody else. It's basically around regulations. So how do we fight this? Because one is, of course, citizens can outrage as the fourth pillar of democracy. We can amplify that. But if that is not a possibility, what is the solution? And can we have hate laws or hate speech laws in the country, specifically for the Hindu community? Because there's another conspiracy theory floating around that this is Brahmins, right, who are preparing the prasadam and they are responsible for this, and that community again, should be blamed. And
you have to make it sure. You have
So,
to.
yeah.
question.
Yes,
So
yeah.
hate speech.
Thank you. So I'm the wrong person to answer that, because I support hate speech. Not that I like hate speech. As a free speech absolutist, I don't mind it, so that's one. But your first question as to the journalist being, thrown in jail, absolutely true, and Shiv's got multiple FIRs against him. There was a YouTuber who the TN police went all the way to Noida to arrest him because, quote unquote, believe it or not, he conducted a controversial interview. That's it. That's enough. So yeah, it's a fact.
I'm a supporter of free speech. There are very, very few exceptions. I'm not an absolutist like Anand, he's extreme, but there are extremely few exceptions to that rule. Now, as Anand rightly pointed out, I have 7 or 8 FIRs, 12 defamation cases in 11 different states of the country right now that I'm fighting. Believe me, it's not just about Tamil Nadu. All governments want to control journalists, and they will come after you if you do stuff that they don't like. It's just a matter of the degrees with which they will come after you. Perhaps it's more strident here in Tamil Nadu, I'm not aware, but it's there everywhere. I'm also a firm believer in this impulse that we have as Indians is, do we need a special law? Should we have another law? We do not lack laws in this country. Believe me, the Indian Penal Code is one of the finest legal structures and documents. It's a question of enforcement, it's a question of uniformity, it's a question of regulation, it's a question of doing the right thing at the right time, not selectively. That's what the problem is. It's not about having special laws. And no, I don't think Hindus need special laws at all.
One last question. Come on, ladies.
I'm not making. The point that I'm adding to this gentleman's.
He just wants to praise Anand.
Yeah. Yes, I want to praise Anand and you as well.
Then two more questions.
Yes. So, Yeah, I mean, our old systems did have mechanism of managing system on its own. The Poshakas used to maintain the temple. It's not like after the government came in the form of new nation state form, the temples are getting maintained. Even today there are small temples that the community maintains. There are people who fund, who manage the fund, who bring in the supplies, who know the festival, everything. I mean, the fact remains is that government has to simply get out of this control and people will smoothly take over and manage it. I mean, some wobbling will happen for some time, but yeah, there are systems in place, functional, absolutely functional.
People don't understand that most of the control that is most damaging to Hindus is not through direct control of the temple itself, but temple land.
Yeah.
T.R. Ramesh says that the temple land that Tamil Nadu controls, it should be getting 6,000 crores per year. It gets 58 crores.